Tyler, you didn't have to compete in all of the different events and rotations today. You put together some really good numbers in Indianapolis. So why did you feel like you wanted to come to Dallas and put in the work here as well?
Another opportunity, and of course, more specifically, to come out here with the guys, and support them and, train with them and perform today with them. And so, again, it was just another opportunity for us to get exposure in front of NFL teams. And so, yeah, I didn't want to miss it.
You told me offline you felt like positional work was where you could showcase what you do again. What do you feel like you did well there today in the position work?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, again, continue to reinforce, maybe my athleticism if some doubt it, and just, show that I'm capable to do whatever they need me to do. So,
what kind of feedback are you getting from the different NFL scouts and teams down here in Dallas?
it's been great. Of course, most of these teams I've talked to through the East-West game at the Combine, and so it's good to kind of touch base with them again and say what's up and, pick their brain and try to learn the game of football, even more. So it's been great.
What has the critique and feedback been from those squads about what you do well and what they want you to work on?
Yeah, to be honest, there's been a little bit of that discussion. Of course, the biggest thing is, hey, you're big, you're tough, you're physical. We like that. You're not running a 4.5. You could maybe work on that. Things like that. Nothing too crazy, but that's my pitch to NFL teams as well is, hey, I know what I am. I know what I'm not. I'm not your freakiest athlete, but I am, going to come in and work my butt off and be an asset to the team and help win games. And so, like I said, that's my pitch to them, and hopefully, one of them buys it.
How are you feeling physically after the build-up to not just the Combine in Indianapolis, but to where you are today?
Great, yeah. Coming off the season, things come pretty quick. You hop right into Combine training. I think I was in Utah for like 4 days between bowl game and when I started Combine training in Florida. So it's a quick turnaround, but feel great, feeling healthy, super excited, looking forward to the future.
Yeah, most don't know what goes into it once the season ends, but you've spent a good chunk of time in Florida. What were you working on specifically down there to get better?
Bigger, faster, stronger, working on all of our technique for all these drills, trying to run fast, trying to jump high. And so it's really, you want to come out and you want to put your best foot forward. Again, show teams that you can move in the position work in all the drills and that you're explosive in the jumps. So that's really what goes into it. And, it's kind of a big moment. Try to display it all here and in hopes that it helps.
How do you handle the nerves of something like that?
Oof. I try to just smile, honestly, and try to enjoy the moment. It's something that, that I've kind of developed just to make sure that I'm not, too in my head or too amped in the moment. Just, kind of recenters me. Just try to smile and enjoy it.
If you had to pick one drill where you felt like you impressed scouts the most, whether it be in Indianapolis or maybe something here today, what would that be?
It's probably, my jumps. I don't think teams expected me to be quite that explosive. And so, I was happy. And I would also say, position work. I feel like position work both in Indianapolis and here, helped me.
You mentioned an emphasis of wanting to be around your guys, to have this reunion of sorts with the 14 BYU players down there. What's that been like?
It's been great. It's awesome to be here with those guys. We've worked so hard over so many years to get to this point and have this opportunity. And so it's a dream come true for everyone. So it's awesome to be here.
The Combine always presents some interesting and thought-provoking questions for athletes like you. So what was one of the more notable or more challenging, unique questions that you were asked to answer?
Good question. I think one of the hardest questions is, why should we draft you? When a team throws that out, you're like, well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of tricky. You want to respond the right way to it. But that's probably been, just the most upfront, kind of hard-nosed question that I've gotten.
Why should teams draft Tyler Batty?
Oh, great question. Like I said before, you know what you're gonna get at the end of the day. I'm gonna come in and work my butt off and help them win games. And honestly, and I've told a couple of them this. Just if you don't draft me and we end up in the same division, you're gonna regret it. I'll make sure of that. So.
Who's your NFL comparison if you had to emulate somebody or compare yourself to somebody that's in the league right now?
I don't dare compare myself. In that sense, a lot of the guys I watch are veterans, getting, league maximum contracts, guys like Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa. Those three guys are the guys that I watch the most and try to model my game after. like I said, I won't compare myself to them because they're light years ahead of me. But those are the guys I'm trying to be like, and I figure if I can end up being a mixture of those 3 dudes, I'll be all right.
Out of just sheer curiosity, which teams have shown the most common interest in you?
Also good questions. I feel like I've gotten a love from a lot of the different teams throughout the league. I've interviewed with pretty much all of them at this point multiple times, and so it's kind of tricky to say, as to who's standing out and where we're at. End of April can't come fast enough.
What are your expectations for the end of April, Tyler?
I just want to play ball, man. So as long as I get to continue to play football, I'll be happy.
We appreciate the time. Congratulations on a lot of hard work paying off, man.
I appreciate it.